I mostly read public domain books here on Glenn Reads Books to You, and they were written a long time ago, so they're usually racist, or sexist, or bigoted, but in there somewhere is a story, and that's why those stories are famous. Other times, I read works from independent authors, and they're delightfully not racist, but they might have adult language or adult situations, like, making sex. So that's your warning, but I'm sure you're grown up enough to handle it. Don't write to me complaining. Finally, I get to sit down with this giant plate of spaghetti and meatballs. Oh, god damn it, here he comes. Yeah. Well, you came back. Why? I have no goddamn idea. I tried to scare you off with the most boring thing I could find, which was Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare, and apparently the first act wasn't painful enough for you. So now, I guess we're gonna have to continue on until I drive you from my home. Whatever, fine. Welcome to the Glenn Reads Books to You mansion. It's a fun little bit where I pretend to live in a mansion and not just recording in my basement. This is where I read the hottest public domain books and short stories and plays. And this week we'll continue reading Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare. You want to hear about the author? Sure. William Shakespeare was baptized April of 1564 because they don't know when he was born, but apparently they recorded when he's baptized. That's weird. And he died the 23rd of April, 1616. He was an English playwright, poet, and actor, and he is regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's preeminent dramatist. He's often called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. I'm saying it that way, or simply just the Bard. His works, including collaborations, consist of some 39 plays, 154 sonnets, 3 long narrative poems, and a few other verses, some of uncertain authorship. His plays have been translated into every major language and are performed more often than those of any other playwright. He remains arguably the most influential writer in the English language, and his works continue to be studied and reinterpreted. You want to hear some fun facts? Sure. Everyone loves fun facts. Shakespeare's plays feature the first written instances of hundreds hundreds of familiar terms, including fashionable, sanctimonious, eyeball, that came from A Midsummer Night's Dream, lackluster, and the expressions foregone conclusion, or in a pickle, and wild goose chase, and one fell swoop. He's also credited with inventing the given names of Olivia, Miranda, Jessica, and Cordelia. I've known some Jessicas. They're horrible people. Shakespeare is bested only by the Bible, for quotes. According to the Oxford Dictionary of Quotations, William Shakespeare wrote close to a tenth of the most quoted lines ever written or spoken in English. What's more, according to the Literature Encyclopedia, Shakespeare is the second most quoted English writer after the writers of the Bible. Another fun fact, waves of the plague closed all the theaters. An outbreak of the plague in Europe resulted in all London theaters being closed between 1592 and 1594. So Shakespeare began to write poetry, completing his first batch of sonnets in 1593 at the age of 29. Women were not allowed to perform on stage. It was illegal for women to perform in the theater in Shakespeare's lifetime, so all the female parts were written for boys. Some text of some of the plays, like Hamlet and Antony and Cleopatra, refer to that. It was only much later, during the Restoration, that the first women appeared on the English stage. Writing by candlelight just didn't happen. Candles were really expensive, so they were used only for emergencies for a short time. Most writers wrote in the daytime and socialized in the evenings. What, in the dark? If the candles are so expensive, what are they socializing? Just in the moonlight? That's creepy. There's no reason to think that William Shakespeare was any different from his contemporaries. Another one, 2 Shakespeare plays were available in Klingon. 2 of Shakespeare's plays, Hamlet and this one, Much Ado About Nothing, had been translated into Klingon. The Klingon Language Institute plans to translate more! Exclamation point. Boy, am I excited for that. Oh, the Klingon Language Institute, doing the good work that society needs. Well, with that, why don't we go down to the library and continue reading Act 2 of this play. Well, there you go. Now that you're all settled in, I'm going to explain to you what each scene has happening in it before I read it. Why? Because the language is confusing and very floral. And so I'm going to explain it to you. This scene in Act 2, Hero, Beatrice, Leonardo, and Antonio are just sitting around waiting for the masked ball to start. Hero and Beatrice start talking about what would make the perfect man, because they're shallow. And then they decide a medium between Don John, who never talks, and Benedict, who's always talking. So that's creative. This brings up if Beatrice will ever get married, and she says no. Leonardo, Antonio bring up how they think that Don Pedro, I'm going to keep screwing that name up, is going to propose to Hero that evening. The party starts. The men slap on those masks, and now the women can't tell who is who. Dance starts, and people start pairing off. Don Pedro smooths on up to Hero. Benedict dances with Beatrice, who either doesn't know who he is or pretends not to, and she insults Benedict while she dances with him. Don John sees his brother Pedro flirting with Hero and decides to go tell Claudio that Pedro is really gonna keep Hero for himself and get married that night, acting like he doesn't recognize him and that he thinks he's really talking to Benedict. Claudio, being an idiot, just instantly believes Don John and runs out like a spaz. Benedict still is pissed at how Beatrice is making fun of him, and when Claudio returns, Don John tells him that Hero has agreed to marry him, Claudio, and her dad supports it. Claudio, forgetting what he was spazzing about earlier, is all overwhelmed and can barely speak. So they privately make their promises to each other about it, and Beatrice has to be the center of attention, so she goes on about how she'll never get married. Don Pedro offers himself to her, and she gently tells him that he's stuck in the friend zone with some sort of lame clothing analogy. And when Leonardo and Claudio talks to Claudio about when he wants to get married, the spaz wants to happen tomorrow. But Leonardo says, no, in a week. Calm the hell down. So Don Pedro empathizes with Claudio having to wait to get married. So he makes a plan on how to pass the time by forcing other people to fall in love, namely Beatrice and Benedict. So let's get started. Enter Leonardo, Antonio, Hero, Beatrice, Ursula, and Margaret. Leonardo, was not Count John here at supper? Antonio, I saw him not. Beatrice, how tartly that gentleman looks. I can never see him, but I am heartburned after an hour. Hero says, he's a very melancholy disposition. Well, he were an excellent man that were made just in the midway between him and Benedict. The one is too like an image and says nothing, and the other two like my lady's eldest son, evermore tattling. And then Signor Benedict's tongue in Count John's mouth, and half Count John's melancholy in Signor Benedict's face. With a good leg and a good foot, uncle, and money enough in his purse, such a man would win any woman in the world if he could get her goodwill. Leonardo, by my troth, niece, thou wilt never get thee a husband if thou be so shrewd of thy tongue. Antonio, in faith, she is too cursed. Beatrice, well, too cursed is more than cursed. I shall lessen God's sending that way, for it is said, God sends a cursed cow short horns. But to a cow too cursed, he sends none. Leonardo, so by being too cursed, God will send you no horns? Just if he sends me no husband, for which the blessing I am at him upon my knees every morning and evening. Lord, I could not endure a husband with a beard on his face. I'd rather lie in the woolen. You may light on a husband that hath no beard. What should I do with him? Dress him in my apparel and make him my waiting gentlewoman? He hath a beard is more than a youth, that he hath no beard is less than a man, and that he is more than a youth is not for me, and that he is less than a man, and I am not for him. Ugh. Therefore, I will even take 6 pence in earnest of the beard herd, and lead his apes into hell. Well, then, go you into hell? No, by the gate, and there will be the devil to meet me, like a cuckold with horns on his head. Oh, there's that reference to horns on that. And say, get you to heaven, Beatrice. Get you to heaven. There's no place for you maids. So deliver I up my apes and away to St. Peter. For the heavens, he shows me where the bachelors sit, and they live as we merry as the day is long. Antonio to Hero. Well, niece, I trust you will be ruled by your father. Yes, Faith, it is my cousin's duty to make courtesy and say, Father, as it please you. But yet, for all that, cousin, let him be a handsome fellow. Or else make another courtesy and say, Father, as it please me. Well, Leonardo, well, niece, I hope to see you one day fitted with a husband. Oh, not till God make men of some other metal than earth. Would it not grieve a woman to be so overmastered with a piece of valiant dust, to make an account of her life to a clod of wayward marl? No, uncle, I'll none. Adam's sons are my brethren, and truly I hold it a sin to match in my kindred. Yeah, well, that's weird. Oh, daughter, remember what I told you. If the prince do solicit you in this kind, you know your answer. The fault will be in the music, cousin, if you will not wooed by good time. If the prince be too important, tell him there is measure in everything, and so dance out the answer. For, hear me, hero, wooing, wedding, and repenting is as a Scotch jig. A measure and a synopace. What the hell's a cynic pace? We're looking that one up. Wikipedia's got nothing. Translation? Nothing. Dictionary's got nothing. We're never going to know what that word is. The first suit is hot and hasty, like a Scotch jig, and full as fantastical. The wedding. What's with the Scotch jig? This is like the third or fourth time I've seen this reference since starting this book. Play, whatever. The wedding, mannerly, modest in measure, full of state and ancestry. And then comes repentance, and his bad legs fall into the cinespace, damn it, faster and faster, till he sink into his grave. Cousin, you apprehend passing shrewdly. No, I have a good eye, uncle. I can see a church by daylight. The revelers are entering, brother. Make good room. Enter Don Pedro, Claudio, Benedict, Balthazar, Don John, Borachio, Margaret, Ursula, and others masked. Don Pedro. Lady, will you walk about with your friend? And then they begin to dance. Hero. Oh, so you walk softly and look sweetly and say nothing. I am yours for the walk, especially when I walk away. Don Pedro. Oh, with me in your company? I may say so when I please. And when you please you to say so? When I like your favor, for God defend the lute should be like the case. Oh, my visor is Philphamon's roof. What's Philphamon? Oh, we actually got a thing. It's Greek mythology. A good old countryman living in his with his wife, Bacchus and Phaedra, who offered hospitality to Zeus and Hermes when the two gods came to earth. Okay, whatever, no one cares. Within this house is Jove. Oh, why then your visor should be thatched? Speak low if you speak love. They move aside. Balthazar, Margaret move forward. Beatrice. Will you not tell me who told you so? Benedict. No, you shall pardon me. Beatrice. No, will you tell me who you are? Not now. That I was disdainful, and that I had my good wit out of 100 merry tales. Well, this was Signor Benedict that said so. What's he? I am sure you know him well enough. Not I, believe me. Did he never make you laugh? I pray you, what is he? Why, he is the prince's jester. A very dull fool, only his gift is in devising impossible slanders. None but libertines delight in him, and the commendation is burp, not in his wit, but in his villainy. For he both pleases men and angers them. And then they laugh at him, and beat him. I am sure he is in the fleet. He had boarded me. When I know the gentleman, I'll tell him what you say. Oh, do. But he'll break a comparison or two on me, which, pre-adventure, not marked or laughed at, strikes him into melancholy. And then there's a partridge, wing, saved, for the fool will eat no supper that night. Music for the dance plays. We must follow the leaders. Benedict, in every good thing. Nay, if they lead to any ill, I will leave them at the next turning. Dance, then exit all except for Don John, Borachio, and Claudio. Don John to Borachio. Oh, sure, my brother is amorous on Hero, and hath withdrawn her father to break with him about it. The ladies follow her, but it is one visor remains, Borachio. And that is Claudio. I know him by his bearing. To to Don John, to Claudio. Oh, are you not Senor Benedict? Claudio says, oh, you know me well. I am he. Don John says, oh, Senor, you are very near my brother in his love. He is enamored on Hero. I pray you dissuade him from her. She is no equal for his birth, and you may do the part of an honest man in it. How do you know he loves her? No, I saw him swear his affection. Braccio, so did I too, and he swore that he would marry her tonight. Don John, come, let us to the banquet. Exit Don John and Braccio. Claudio, removing his mask, thus I answer in the name of Benedict. But hear this ill news with the ears of Claudio. That's how he talks about himself to himself. 'Tis certain so the prince woos for himself. Friendship is constant in all other things, save in the office and affairs of love. Therefore all hearts in love use their own tongues, and let every eye negotiate for itself, and trust no agent, for beauty is a witch, against whose charms faith melteth into blood, and this is an accident of hourly proof, which I mistrusted not. Farewell, therefore, Hero. Enter Benedict. Can Claudio? Yeah, the same. Come, will you go with me? Whither? Even to the next willow, about your own business, County. What fashion will you wear the garland of? About your neck, like a usurer's chain, or under your arm, like a lieutenant's scarf? You must wear it one way, or hath the prince got your Hero. I wish him joy of her. Why, it's spoken like an honest drover, so they sell bullocks. But did you think the prince would have served you thus? I pray you leave me. Now you strike the blind man. 'Twas the boy that stole your meat, and that you'll beat the post. If it will not be, I'll leave you. Exit. Benedict by himself, alas, poor hurt fowl. Now will he creep into sedges, but that Lady Beatrice should know me, and not know me. Oh, the prince is fool. It may be that I go under the title because I am married. But I am apt to do myself wrong. I am not so reputed. It is the base, though bitter disposition of Beatrice that puts the world into her person, and so gives me out. Oh, well, I'll be revenged as I may. Enter Don Pedro. Now, Senor, where's the Count? Did you see him? Troth, my lord, I have played the part of Lady Fame. I found him here as melancholy as a lodge in a warren. I told him, I think I told him true, that your grace had got the goodwill of this young lady, and I offered him my company to a willow tree, either to make him a garland as being forsaken, or to bind him up a rod as being worthy. To be whipped. Don Pedro. To be whipped? What's his fault? Oh, the flat transgression of a schoolboy, who, being overjoyed with finding a bird's nest, shows it as a companion, and he steals it. Wilt thou make a transgression? The transgression is in the stealer. Yet it may not be amiss in the rod that had been made, and the garland too, for the garland might have been worn himself, and the rod might have been bestowed upon you, who, as I take it, have stolen the bird's nest. I will but teach him to sing, and to restore them to the owner. Oh, if their singing answer your saying, by my faith, you say honestly. Lady Beatrice hath a quarrel to you. The gentleman that danced with her told her she is much wronged by you. Oh, she misused me past the endurance of a block. Oh, an oak, but with a one green leaf on it would have answered her. My very visor began to assume life and scold with her, and she told me, not thinking I had been myself, that I was the prince's jester, and I was duller than a great thaw. Huddling jest upon jest with impossible conveyance upon me, that I stood like a man at a mark with my whole army shooting at me. She speaks poignards, and every word stabs, and her breath were as terrible as the terminations, but there was no living near her. She would infect to the North Star. I would not marry her, though she were endowed with all that Adam had left before she had transgressed. She would have made Hercules have turned spit, yea, and have left this club to make the fire too. Come, talk not of her. You shall find the infernal 8 in good apparel. I would to God some scholar would conjure her, for certainly she is here. a man may live as quiet in hell as in a sanctuary, and the people upon sin purpose because, they would go thither. So indeed, all disquiet, horror, and perturbation follows her. Enter Claudio, Beatrice, Hero, and Leonardo. Don Pedro. Oh, yeah, look, here she comes. Benedict. Will your grace command me any service to the world's end? I will go to the slightest errand now on enterprise that you can devise me to send on, and I will fetch you toothpicker now from the furthest east of Asia, and bring you the length of Prester John's foot, fetch you a hair off the great Cham's beard. Do you have any ambassadors to the pygmies? Oh, that's weird. Rather than hold these words conference with this harpy, have you no employment for me? None but to desire your good company. Oh, God, sir, here's a dish I love not. I cannot endure my lady tongue. And they exit. Don Pedro says to Beatrice, come, lady, come. You've lost the heart of Signor Benedict. Oh, indeed, my lord. He lent me a while, and I gave him use for it. A double heart for his single one. Marry once before he won it of me with false dice. Therefore, your grace may well say I have lost it. You put him down, lady, you put him down. So I would not he should do to me, my lord, lest I should prove the mother of fools. I've brought Count Claudio, whom you sent to speak. Oh, why, how now? Count, wherefore are you sad? Claudio, not sad, my lord. How then, sick? Neither, my lord. Beatrice, the Count is neither sad nor sick, nor merry, nor well, but civil, Count, civil as an orange, or something of that jealous complexion. Don Pedro, faith, lady, I think your blazon be true, though. I'll be sworn, if he be so, his conceit is false. Here, Claudio, I have wooed in thy name, and fair Hero is won. I have broke with her father, and the goodwill obtained. Name the day of marriage, and God give thee joy. Leonardo, Count, take me of my daughter, and with her my fortunes. His grace hath made the match, and all grace say amen to it. Beatrice, speak, Count, 'tis your cue. Claudio, silence is the perfectest herald of joy. I were but little happy if I could say how much. Lady, as you are mine, I am yours. I give away myself for you, and dote upon the exchange. Speak, cousin, if you cannot. Stop his mouth with a kiss, and let him not speak neither. Don Pedro, in faith, lady, you have a merry heart. Beatrice, oh, yeah, my lord, and I think it. Poor fool, he keeps on a windy side of care. My cousin tells him in his ear that he is in her heart. Claudio, and so she doth, cousin. I love that Hero doesn't actually have a speaking line. She's just whispering that she concurs. So she doth, cousin. Beatrice, good Lord for alliance. Thus goes everyone to the world, but I am sunburnt. I may sit in a corner and cry. Hi-ho for a husband. Don Pedro, Lady Beatrice, I will get you one. I'd rather have one of your father's getting. Hath your grace near a brother like you? Your father got excellent husbands, if a maid could come by them. Don Pedro, will you have me, lady? Oh, no, my lord, unless I might have another for working days. Your grace is too costly to wear every day. But I beseech your grace, pardon me. I was born to speak all mirth and no matter. Your silence most offends me, and to be merry best becomes you. For out a question, you were born a merry hour. No, sure, my lord. My mother cried, and then there was a star danced, and under that I was born. Cousins, God give you joy. Leonardo, niece, will you look to those things I told you of? I cry, you mercy, uncle, but by your grace's pardon. And she exits. Don Pedro, by my troth, a pleasant-spirited lady. Leonardo, well, there's a little of the melancholy element in her, my lord. She's never sad, but when she sleeps, and never sad then, for I have heard my daughter say she hath often dreamed of unhappiness, and waked herself with laughing. She cannot endure to hear tell of a husband. By no means. She mocks all her wooers of this suit. She were an excellent wife for Benedict. Oh, Lord, my Lord, if they were but a week married, oh, they would talk themselves mad. County, Claudio, when mean you to go to church? Claudio, tomorrow, my Lord. Time goes on, crutches till love has all its rights. Leonardo, not till Monday, my dear son. Ugh. Which is hence just a 7th night, and a time too brief, too, to have all things answer my mind. Don Pedro, to Claudio, come, you shake the head at not so long a breathing. But I warrant thee, Claudio, the time shall not go dully by us, or I will in the interim undertake one of Hercules' labors, which is to bring Signor Benedict, and the Lady Beatrice, into a mountain of affection, the one with the other, and I would fain have it match, and I doubt not but to fashion, if you were thee, but will minister such instance as I shall give you direction. Leonardo, oh, my lord, I am for you, though it cost me 10 nights' watchings. And I, my lord, says Claudio, Don Pedro, and you, gentle hero, I will do any modest office, my lord, to help my cousin to a good husband. Don Pedro. Benedict is not the hopefulest person that I know. Thus, I far can praise him. He is of a noble strain, and approved valor, and confirmed honesty. And I will teach you how to humor your cousin, that he shall fall in love with Benedict. And I, with 2 helps, will so practice on Benedict that in spite of his quick wit and his queasy stomach, shall fall in love with Beatrice. And if he can do this, Cupid is no longer an archer. His glory will be ours. For we are the only love gods. So go in with me, and I will tell you my drift. They exit. Scene 2. What happens in this scene? Almost nothing. It's really short. Don John learns about the marriage in a week and wants to prevent it because mischief. The guy lives and breathes it. Baraccio has hooked up with one of Hero's servant women, so he comes up with a plan to have her wear some of Hero's clothes and make sex with her by a window so Claudio can see. Oh, and then Don John loves this shit. It says that he'll reward him if he can pull it off. Enter Don John and Baraccio. Don John, is it so? The Count Claudio shall marry the daughter of Leonardo? Baraccio, yea, my lord, but I can cross it. Any bar, any cross, any impediment will be medicinable. Medicinable? What is that word? It's got an apostrophe in the middle of it. There's nothing. Wikipedia, translation, dictionary, nothing. To me, I am sick in displeasure to him, and whatsoever comes athwart his affection ranges evenly with mine. How canst thou cross this marriage? Baraccio, oh, not honestly, my lord, but so covertly that no dishonesty shall appear in me. Oh, show me briefly how. Oh, I think I told your lordship a year since how much I am in favor of Margaret, the waiting gentlewoman to Hero. Oh, I remember. And I can, at any unseasonable instant of the night, appoint her to look out at the lady's chamber window. What life in that to be the death of this marriage? The poison of that lies in your temper. Go to the prince, your brother, and spare not to tell him that he hath wronged his honor in marrying the renowned Claudio, whose estimation, you do mightily hold up to a consummated stale such as one as Hero. What proof shall I make of that? Proof enough to misuse the prince, to vex Claudio, to undo Hero, and to kill Leonardo. Look you for any other issue? Only despite them. I'll endeavor anything. Go then, and find me, meet an hour, draw, Don Pedro, and the Count Claudio alone. Tell them that you know that Hero loves me, and tend a kind of zeal, both to the prince and Claudio, as to love your brother's honor, to have made this match, and his friend's reputation, and who is thus like to be cozened with the semblance of a maid that you have discovered thus. They will scarcely believe this without trial. Offer them some instances, which shall bear no less likelihood than to see me at her chamber window, and hear me call Margaret, Hero, and to hear Margaret term me Claudio, and then bring them to see this the very night before the intended wedding. For in the meantime, I will so fashion the matter that Hero shall be absent, and there shall appear such seeming truth of Hero's disloyalty that jealousy shall be called assurance, and all preparation overthrown. Oh, grow this to what adverse issue it can, and I will put it in practice. Be cunning in the work this, and thy fee is 1,000 ducats. Oh, be you constant my accusation, and my cunning shall not shame me, and I will presently go learn their day of marriage. You know who else wanted to get married at one point in their life? A simple man. Not a complicated person. It was Stephen Dorglass of Dorglass Incorporated, Dorglass.com, Dorglass.com. They're dedicated to fabricating and professionally installing the highest quality glass products from the nation's top manufacturers. Their inventory, combined with their years of experience, makes them the premier source for installation and repair. They approach every project with the same goals: professionalism, integrity, and more importantly, they're discreet. Oh, he tried to get married, but it turned out the woman that he was trying to get married to was already married, and so he was trying to figure out how to get her to Tulsa so they could slide her on down there and get married illegally. And in that way, it's like, oh, I got the bride I always wanted, even though she's still married to another guy. And then he was going to, like, I'm fine starting my own family here in Tulsa that she flies out to visit once every 3 weeks. But it didn't really work out, and he was heartbroken. And ever since then, he decided to dedicate his entire life to the craft of glass. What do? Commercial storefronts, automatic entrances, windows, patio doors, mirrors, shower doors, installation repair, and they will design and build anything you want, except for love. Clients are Pottery Barn, Williams-Sonoma, Sherman-Williams, Portillo's, the Salt Cave, which is, as I've said before, don't touch the walls. It's a place that has Himalayan salt all along the walls, and they backlight it, so it just looks like you're inside somebody's lung or something, and it's all weird and dark and gross and wet. Don't touch it, because not that they care that you're going to scratch off Himalayan salt and take it home in your pocket and, I don't know, lick it or something while you sit in your bathtub like a weirdo. They just get angry because it's highly covered in bacteria, and they just don't want to get sued. And they also, Applebee's. Well, why don't we get back to the story? And finally, scene 3. What happens in scene 3? Don Pedro, Claudio, and Leonardo decide to enact their plan to get Benedict to fall in love with Beatrice. They know he's wandering around the garden, mumbling to himself about how Claudio could turn into a sap so easily when he was so manly before. Then he overhears Don Pedro, Claudio, and Leonardo talking about how Beatrice is in love with him. In fact, she's so in love that they're worried she might commit suicide. So they head to dinner, leaving Benedict talking to himself a lot. Then he decides that he loves her, and he'll take pity on her since she's beautiful, witty, and virtuous. Beatrice appears to call him into dinner, and she's being a turd to him like always, but Benedict showers her with praise. She doesn't get it and insults him with some more before going back in. He's convinced that what she said was coded messages and runs off to have a portrait made of her so he can carry it around. Scene 3. Enter Benedict. Boy. Enter boy. Boy says, Signor, in my chamber window lies a book. Bring it hither to me in the orchard. I am already, sir. I know that, but I would have thee hence and here again. Exit the boy. Oh, I do wonder what one man, seeing how much another man is a fool, when he dedicates his behaviors to love, will, after he hath laughed at such shallow follies and others, become the argument of his own scorn by falling in love. And such a man as Claudio, I've known him when there was no music in him but the drum and the fife, and now he hath rather hear the tabor and the pipe. I have known when he would have walked 10 mile afoot to see good armor, and now he will lie 10 nights awake carving out the fashion of a new doublet. And he was wont to speak plain and to the purpose, like an honest man and a soldier, and now he's turned to orthography, and his words are very fantastical banquet, so many strange dishes. May I be converted to see with these eyes? Yeah, I can't tell, and I think not, and I will not be sworn, but love may transform me to an oyster. But I will take my oath on it. Till he hath made an oyster of me, he shall never make me such a fool. One woman is fair, yet I am well. Another is wise, and yet I am well. Another virtuous, Yet I am well, and still all graces be in one woman. One woman shall not come in my grace. Rich she shall be, that's certain. Wise, I'll none. Virtuous, I'll never cheapen her. Fair, I'll never look on her. Mild, or not come near me. Noble, nor I am not an angel, or good discourse. An excellent musician, and a hair shall be what color it please God. Ha! The prince and Monsieur Love. I will hide in the arbor. Then he hides. Enter Don Pedro, Claudio, Leonardo, and Balthazar with music. Don Pedro, come, shall we hear this music? Claudio, yea, my good lord. How still the evening is hushed on purpose to grace harmony. Don Pedro. Oh, aside to Claudio. See you where Benedict hath hid himself? Oh, very well, my lord. The music ended. Will fit the kid fox with a pennyworth? Come, Balthazar, we'll hear that song again. Balthazar, oh, good, my lord. Tax not so bad a voice to slander music any more than once. It is the witness still of excellency to put strange face on his own perfection. And I pray thee, sing, and let me woo no more. Oh, Balthazar, because you talk of wooing, I will sing. Since many a wooer doth commence his suit, to her he thinks not worthy, yet he woos, and he will swear he loves. Nay, pray thee, come. Or if thou wilt hold longer argument, do it in notes. Note this before my notes. There is not a note of mine that is worth noting. Why, these are the very crotchets that he speaks. Notes, forsooth, and nothing. The music plays. Benedict aside. Now, divine air. Now, his soul ravished. Is it not strange that sheep's guts should hale souls out of men's bodies? Well, a horn for my money when all's done. Balthazar, I have to sing. Balthazar singing. Sigh no more, lady, sigh no more. Men were deceivers ever. One foot in the sea, and one on the shore, to one thing constant never. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and you will blithe and bonny, coveting all the sounds of woe into hey, nani, nani. Sing no more ditties, sing no mo, that's N-O-M-O, of dumps. So dull and heavy, I like to think it's poops. The fraud of men were ever so, since summer was first levy. Then sigh not so, but let them go, and be you blithe and bonny, converting all your sounds of woe into hey, nani, nani. Don Pedro, by my troth, that's a good song. Balthazar, and an ill singer, my lord. Don Pedro, no, faith, thou singest well enough for a shift. And he'd been a dog that should have howled thus, and they would have hanged him. And I pray God his bad voice bode no mischief. I had as lief have heard the night raven, come what plague would have come after it. Don Pedro, yea, Mary, dost thou hear? Balthazar, I pray thee get us some excellent music. For tomorrow night we would have it at Lady Hero's chamber window. Oh, the best I can, my lord. Do so, farewell. And Balthazar takes off. Come hither, Leonardo. What is it that you told me of today? That your niece, Beatrice, was in love with Signor Benedict? Claudio. Oh, aside to Don Pedro. Stock on. The fowl sits. I did never think that the lady had loved any man. Leonardo. Nor I neither, that man wonderful should be so dote on Signor Benedict, for whom she hath in all outward behavior seemed ever to abhor. Benedict aside, is it possible? Sits the wind in that corner? Leonardo, by my troth, my lord, I cannot tell what to think of it, but that she loves him with an enraged affection, it is past the infinite of thought. Don Pedro, may she doth but counterfeit. Claudio, faith, like enough. Leonardo, oh God, counterfeit? There was no such counterfeit of passion that came so near the life of passion as she discovers it. Don Pedro, why, what effects of passion show she? Claudio, aside to Leonardo, bait the hook well, this fish will bite. Leonardo, what effects, my lord? She will sit you heard my daughter tell you how. Claudio, she did indeed. Don Pedro, Oh, how, I pray you? You amaze me. I would have thought her spirit had been invincible against all assaults of affection. Leonardo, I would have sworn it had, my lord, especially against Benedict. Benedict aside, oh, I should think this is a gull, but that the white-bearded fellow speaks it. Knavery cannot, sure, hide himself in such reverence. Claudio, aside to Don Pedro, he hath taken the infection. Hold it up. Don Pedro, hath she made her affection known to Benedict? Leonardo, no, she swears she never will. That's her torment. Claudio, 'tis true indeed. So your daughter says. Shall I, says she, that hath so oft encountered him with scorn, write to him that I love him? Leonardo, this says she now was in the beginning to write him, for she'll be up 20 times a night, and there she will sit in her smock till she have writ a sheet of my paper. My daughter tells us all. Claudio, now you talk of sheet of paper. I remember a pretty jest your daughter told. Leonardo, when she had writ it and was reading it over, she found Benedict and Beatrice between the sheet. Claudio, that. Leonardo, she tore the letter into 1,000 halfpence, rallied at herself that she would be so immodest to write one that she knew would flout her. I measure him, says she, but my own spirit, for I should flout him if he writ to me, yea, though I love him, I should. Claudio, then down upon her knees she falls, weeps, sobs, beats her heart, tears her hair, prays and curses. Oh, sweet Benedict, God give me penance. Leonardo, she doth indeed. My daughter says so, and the ecstasy hath so much overborne her that my daughter is sometime afeard that she will do desperate outrage to herself. It is very true. Don Pedro, it were good that Benedict knew of it by some other, if she will not discover it. Claudio, to what end? Would she make but a sport of it and torment the poor lady worse? Don Pedro, and she would. It would alms to hang 'em. And she's an excellent sweet lady, and out of all suspicion she is virtuous. Claudio, and she is exceedingly wise. Don Pedro, in everything but loving Benedict. Leonardo, my lord, wisdom and blood combating in so tender a body that they have 10 proofs to one that blood hath the victory. I am sorry for her. I have just cause, being her uncle and her guardian. Don Pedro, I would she had bestowed this dotage on me. I would have daffed all other respects and made her half myself. I pray tell you Benedict of it and hear what he will say. Leonardo, were it good, thank you. Claudio, hero thinks surely she will die, for she says she will die, and if love her not, she will die ere she make her love known, and she will die if he woo her, rather than she will bate one breath of her accustomed crossness. Don Pedro, she doth well, and she make tender of her love. 'Tis very possible he'll scorn it, for the man, as you know all, hath a contemptible spirit. Claudio, he's a very proper man. Don Pedro, he hath the deed of good outward of happiness. Claudio, before God, in my eye, very wise. Don Pedro, he doth indeed show some sparks that are like wit. Claudio, and I take him to be valiant. Don Pedro, as Hector, I assure you, in the managing of quarrels, you may say he is wise, for either he avoids them with great discretion or undertakes them with the most Christian-like fear. Leonardo, if he do fear God, he may necessarily keep peace. If he break the peace, he ought to enter into a quarrel with fear and trembling. Don Pedro, and so he will do, for the man doth fear God, howsoever it seems not in him by some large jest that he will make. Well, I am sorry for your niece. Shall we go seek Benedict and tell him of her love? Claudio, never tell him, my lord. Let her wear it out with good counsel. Leonardo, nay, that is impossible. She may wear her heart out first. Don Pedro, well, we will hear further of it by your daughter. Let it cool, a while. I love Benedict well, and I could wish that he would modestly examine himself to see how much he is unworthy. So good a lady. Leonardo, my lord, will you walk? Dinner is ready. Claudio, aside to Don Pedro and Leonardo, if he do not dote her upon this, I will never trust my expectation. Don Pedro, aside to Leonardo, let there be the same net spread for her, and that must be your daughter and her gentlewoman carry. The sport will be when they hold on to an opinion of one another's dotage, and no such matter. That's the sense that I would see, which will be merely a dumb show. Let us send her to call him into dinner. Exit Don Pedro, Claudio, and Leonardo. Benedict, coming forward. This can be no trick. The conference was sadly born. Oh, they have the truth of this from Hero. They seem to pity the lady, and it seems her affections have their full bent. Love me? Why? It must be requited. I hear how I am censored. They say I will bear myself proudly if I perceive the love to come from her. They say, too, that they would rather die than give any sign of affection. I did never think to marry, and I must not seem proud. Happy are they to hear that there are distractions that they can put to the mending? They say the lady is fair. 'Tis the truth. I can bear them witness, and virtuous. 'Tis so I cannot reprove it. And wise, but for loving me, by my troth, it is no addition to be her wit, nor no great argument of her folly. For I will be horribly in love with her, and I may chance some odd quirks and remnants of wit broken on me because I have rallied so long against marriage. But doth not the appetite alter? A man loves the meat in his youth that he cannot endure in his age. Shall quips and sentences and these paper bullets of the brain awe a man from the career of his humor? No, the world must be peopled. When I said I would die a bachelor, I did not think I would live till I would get married. Here comes Beatrice by this day. She's a fair lady, and I do spy some marks of love in her. Enter Beatrice. Against my will, I am sent here to bid you to come in to dinner. Oh, fair Beatrice, I thank you for your pains. I took no more pains for those thanks than you take pains to thank me. If it had been painful, I would not have come. You take pleasure then in the message? Yea, just so much as you may take upon a nice point and choke a dog withal. You have no stomach, Signor, fare you well. Ha! Against my will, I am bid to send you to come to dinner. There's a double meaning in that. And I took no more pains for those thanks than you took for pains. That's as much as say, any pains that I take for you is as easy as thanks. If I do not pity of her, I am a villain. If I do not love her, I'm a Jew. What the hell's that supposed to mean? Jesus Christ. And I will go get her picture. Exit. Well, that's the end of that scene. Why don't we wrap this shit up by going down to the smoking room? Well, there you are. Why don't you settle yourself down and perhaps smoke a pipe or a cigarette as we talk about what just happened in this act. I'm not going to recap it. I already recapped it for you before I read them. But what's good? Things are happening, finally. Don John has just decided to go flat out evil. What sucks? Nothing so far. I guess that Benedict has, in 1 second, saying, why is Claudio such a big puss, and he used to be a big man, and now he's just a puss. And then all of a sudden, immediately, when he finds out that Beatrice likes him, he's like, oh, now I'm a puss. And he doesn't have any, he doesn't reflect on it. He doesn't reflect on this, turning on the heel like that. He should, I don't know. What do we learn? Well, in scene 1, it's the longest, this is the longest act of the entire play. It's because it's got the bulk of the story gets set up here. Don John tries to do mischief by getting Claudio to believe that Don Pedro is going to try and scoop up Hero all for himself, but fails when Claudio finds out that it's not true. Claudio is worked into such a lather that he can't find fancy words to express it. Hero can't find any words at all, so Beatrice is the one that speaks for her. Actually, we never actually get to hear Hero formally accept the proposal. She's kind of whispers it in his ears. You'd think that Shakespeare would leave the two just being shy kids and spend the rest of the story focusing on Beatrice and Benedict instead, but instead he decides to give Claudio a dark side. When Don John tried to mess it up, when he set it up with Hero, Claudio jumps to the conclusion that Hero sucks without questioning Don John's motives by saying friendship is constant, save in the office of affairs of love. Farewell, therefore, Hero. So he's just done, because he's like a weird, emotional person. And then he finds out that everything's fine, and he still gets to marry her, so he just goes 100% into the marriage mode and doesn't even stop to think for a second about how he's ready to throw it all away on a rumor. We also get seeds planted that Beatrice is lonely and wants to get married, though when Don Pedro asks her, yeah, you want to marry me? She just kind of brushes him off. So who knows what her motivations are. Benedict is shown to be so hurt by her words at the ball that he's still suffering from them later, and he keeps quoting them back to himself, and he just wants to leave altogether. Though John tries to paint himself as a bitter person who only likes to do mild mischief in this case, he's trying to ruin the love between two people, and even more dramatic, ruin the honor of an innocent woman. In the Renaissance period, the honor or virginity of an upper-class woman was important not only for her reputation and marriageability, but for the family as a whole. At that time, infidelity was such a big deal that the parents could disown or even kill their daughter. If she were married, the husband might kill her or challenge the other man to a duel to the death to clear his and his family's name. So for Don John to go from, I want to play pranks, to I literally want to have people die is a pretty big leap. Shakespeare doesn't make it clear what pushed Don John so far in his resentment. When Benedict is in the garden towards the end, whining about how Claudio's gone soft, he says, I have known when there was no music with him but the drum and the fife. My kid's here.
How much longer is this going to take?
Well, I'm going to ignore that. And now had he rather hear the tabor and the pipe. I have known when he would have walked a mile afoot to see a good armor, and now he will lie 10 nights awake, carving the fashion of a new doublet. He was wont to speak plain and to the purpose, like an honest man and a soldier, and now he's turned to orthography. His words are very fantastical banquet, just so many strange dishes. May I be so converted and see with these eyes? I cannot tell. I think not. Here, Benedict is complaining by using a metaphor about music to show that Claudio is turning into a softy over hero. He says that Claudio would rather hear pipe music, which symbolizes love, instead of badass fife. Benedict is hyper-focused on being manly and is upset that Claudio is in love, which he considers to be kind of effeminate. And he feels gross watching Claudio fall over himself trying to change for who he is for hero. He does this by juxtaposing many things like armor and things that he thinks are effeminate, like a fancy new doublet jacket, and how his awesome, gruff, plain talk has turned into the fancy writings of orthography, with all his fancy words being like the dashes of fancy food. Then he speculates on if he's the type to turn into a big fat puss and see with these eyes, in quotes. And then he decides he's not. So, like in the last episode, this is more of the bro culture that we have to go through with a Shakespeare story. This comment foreshadowing that he'll probably rise above that when he overhears Claudio and Don Pedro talk about how Beatrice has a crush on him. No, the world must be peopled. When I said I would die a bachelor, I did not think I would live till I were married. Backtracking about how he's never gonna get married only because he thought he would die young, which is crap. And that, my friends, is dramatic irony. The audience knows something that the characters don't. So, with that, thanks for coming here again, and I hope that you have been scared off and you're not going to come back. And if you do, I've just got more acts of this play to read to you. So I'm sure I'll probably see you next week, and if not, you're making the right choice. Well, it appears you found me in the part of the podcast I hate the most, where I tell you all about the places on the internet where you can find me. You can tell I hate this because of the sound effects making it sound like a stormy night in the drawing room of the damned. Now, there's that. Are you cool? I like cool people. It's the reason why I got involved in this business to begin with, just to meet cool people, not losers. So if you're cool, feel free to go over to my website, nuzzlehouse.com, which basically just points you to Mastodon. Why did I go all in with Mastodon? I have no idea. But if you go there, it'll point you to my link tree where you can listen to episodes, which is confusing and meticulous. But if you want to go to just my link tree, which is linktr.ee/, Nuzzle House, it'll point you to all the rest of my shows, like Glenn Reads Books to You, which you're listening to right now, Gestating the Curious Mind, where my wife and I write paranormal smut and then publish it on Amazon. And also Nuzzle House's CBS Radio Mystery Theater, where we basically create our own episodes of Radio Mystery Theater, a show from the 70s, because they don't make them anymore. Damn it, we want to hear something new. Oh, I'm also on Instagram, something that I try to use but dislike, which is Instagram.com/HouseNuzzle. And the lesser now, thanks to Elon Musk, Twitter. Used to be my home, and now I can't stand it, which is Twitter.com/HouseNuzzle. And since I think you might be cool, you can always just email me directly, glenn.nuzzles@gmail.com. But don't email if you're a nerdling or a dork. Now, back to business. Can't believe I drank all of them already. There's gotta be one left.